Joining me now is Texas State Democratic Representative Anna Johnson. Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson, for being with us today. We really appreciate it. And as we were just hearing there, we've had some of you saying that, look, everything is on the table, including another walkout to stop this bill from passing again. Realistically, is that something that you think is going to happen? And if you do it, will it stop the passage of this bill?
So our concern as a united front of Democrats is to fight to ensure that the promise of democracy is real for all Texans. And that means that we will use absolutely every tool in our arsenal to stop what is just another step in a long line of Texas voter suppression. What we're seeing here, as advocates know, is the same concern that, just as you said, we got called to a special session of an agenda by the governor that is nothing more than a buffet of red meat. And last night, 47 pages of a new voter suppression bill got dropped on us, of which we are going to do everything to fight for the integrity of the election for all Texans. We see attacks on the elderly, the disabled, and we want to ensure that everybody has truly a fair process. And that's what we'll stand up for, and why it is important that we will use every tool available to ensure that democracy stands in Texas.
So there have really been minimal reports of voter fraud in Texas. And frankly, the polling shows that there doesn't seem to be that much concern about it. There was a University of Texas Tribune poll that showed just 19% of voters think that ineligible people frequently cast ballots. 42% believes that their ineligible votes are rarely or never cast. Does this really warrant a special session? Why do this in Texas? And frankly, you know, from where we sit here, Texas already has some of the most restrictive voting rules in the country.
That's exactly right. And this is a solution in search of a problem. The only problem that we have is that the Republican governor is staying true to his allegiance to Trump and playing into this big lie. Texas is merely the next domino that is trying to fall for Republicans in an effort to create voter suppression so that Republicans can try to maintain some level of power, disregarding the rights of many Texans across the board. And you're absolutely right. The Republican Secretary of State said that this last election was safe, smooth, and secure. There was no issue with the integrity of our election system. If Republicans are worried about the integrity of something, they ought to look at the integrity of our electrical grid, because Texas has suffered significant damage where people died, not only in a winter storm, but just recently in Houston, 911 went down because of the power grid. And so if we should be here fighting for Texans, we should be talking about our energy and preserving that people can keep their lights on. There is no reason to be here other than this plays into Republican primary red meat voters.
So some Republicans have basically said the quiet part out loud in some of these bills in different states and places, and acknowledged that it's really about making it harder for Democrats to win elections. Do you think that if this bill is made law, it's going to be less likely that Texas turns blue, which I realize is kind of a general statement, but it's obviously a theme that we've talked about kind of over and over again in the last few presidential elections?
We should be fighting for voters to vote on ideas. We shouldn't be trying to pick our voters or suppress our voters. And you're exactly right. We should be talking about the issues that are concern of Texans, like health care, like the power grid, like gun safety. And that's not what Republicans are interested in doing. And you raised the issue that they have said that out loud part, which is our break of quorum exposed the voter bill for what it was, in an attack on communities of faith and civil rights in souls to the polls. An attack on 24-hour voting, an attack on drive-through voting. And so we are going to do everything that we can to preserve the integrity of the election. And we should win on ideas, not on keeping people from having a fair access to the ballot.
All right. Texas State Representative Ann Johnson, thank you very much for spending some time with us. I'm sure we'll be watching what you guys are all doing tomorrow and, of course, into the weekend. We really appreciate your time.